A small German pistol from 1931 changed cinema forever. The Walther PPK became James Bond's signature weapon and turned a police detective's tool into the most famous firearm in movie history. This is the story of how one gun became a legend. The year is 1929. Karl Walther GmbH Sportwaffen releases the Polizei pistol, a semi-automatic handgun designed for German police forces. The gun introduces features that seem standard today but were revolutionary back then. A double-action trigger mechanism, an automatic hammer block safety, a loaded chamber indicator, fixed barrel design for better accuracy. Police departments across Germany start adopting it immediately. 2 years later, Walther makes a crucial modification. They take that same design and shrink it down. The result is the PPK, which stands for Polizei Pistol Criminal Model. Police Pistol Detective Model. The name tells you everything about its purpose. This wasn't meant for uniformed officers. Detectives needed something smaller, something they could hide under a jacket, something concealable. The dimensions matter here. Overall length comes in at 6.1 inches. The barrel measures 3.3 inches. Height sits at 3.9 inches. Width is just 1 inch. Unloaded weight hits 21 ounces. These numbers make it perfect for concealed carry. You can slip it into a shoulder holster, an ankle holster, or even a coat pocket without printing through your clothes. The grip frame wraps around the magazine, eliminating the backstrap found on the larger PP model. This shaves off precious fractions of an inch. The PPK operates on a straight blowback system. When you fire, the slide recoils directly against the recoil spring. No locking mechanism needed because the cartridges are low pressure. The fixed barrel doubles as the guide rod for that recoil spring. This setup delivers surprising accuracy for such a compact package. The barrel never moves during firing, which means your point of aim stays consistent shot after shot. Magazine capacity depends on the caliber. In .380 ACP, which Americans know as 9 by 17 millimeter, you get 7 rounds. The European designation is 7.65 millimeter Browning. That bumps capacity to 8 rounds in .32 ACP. Early models featured a heel-mounted magazine release at the base of the grip. Later versions switched to a push button on the frame, making reloads faster and more intuitive. The trigger system deserves attention. Double action means your first shot requires a long, heavy pull. You're cocking the hammer and releasing it with one trigger squeeze. The pull weight on that first shot typically runs between 13 and 17 pounds, heavy enough that you won't fire by accident. After that first round, the gun switches to single action. The hammer stays cocked and your trigger pull drops to 4 to 6 pounds, crisp and clean. This two-stage system was cutting-edge technology in 1931. Safety features stack up. The manual decocker lets you safely lower a cocked hammer without pulling the trigger. A firing pin block prevents discharge if you drop the gun. The loaded chamber indicator, a small pin that protrudes from the rear of the slide, tells you at a glance whether a round sits in the chamber. All of these features exist on centerfire models. The 22 LR training versions skip some of them. During the final days of World War II, a Walther PPK was present inside Hitler's Berlin bunker, a detail that later tied the pistol to several historically significant events of that era. Because of this association with high-ranking officials in the collapsing regime, the PPK carried a lasting historical stigma in the decades that followed. War production ramped up. Factories stamped them with various markings. RFV codes indicated guns issued to Reichsbank security personnel. Some went to Latvian paramilitary groups called the Aizsargi. The Germans manufactured hundreds of thousands during the war years. Quality varied as production accelerated and materials became scarce. When the war ended, Zella Melis fell under Soviet control in what became East Germany. The Walther family couldn't stay. They fled west and re-established their company in Ulm, West Germany, in 1953. Allied restrictions on German arms manufacturing created a problem. The solution came from France. Manurin, short for Manufacture de Machines du Haut-Rhin, took over production under license from 1952 to 1986. French factories cranked out over 1.2 million PP and PPK series pistols during that period. Some were assembled in Germany, others in France. The markings reflected the production location, but quality stayed high across the board. American import laws threw another wrench in the works. The Gun Control Act of 1968 created a point system for importing handguns. Guns needed to score high enough on sporting features to qualify. The standard PPK fell short, too light, not enough magazine capacity, no target sights. Walther engineers created a workaround. They took the longer grip frame from the PP model and mated it to the shorter slide and barrel of the PPK. The PPK-S was born. The S stands for sport. This hybrid added 1.8 ounces in weight, 0.2 inches in height, and one extra round to the magazine, enough to pass the import test. American production began in 1978. Ranger Manufacturing in Gadsden, Alabama, made them under license. Inner Arms handled distribution. The license shifted to Walther USA in Black Creek in 1999. Smith & Wesson took over from 2002 to 2013, producing them in Houlton, Maine. Smith & Wesson made modifications. They added an extended beaver tail to the grip to prevent hammer bite, which happens when the slide pinches the web of your hand during recoil. A recall happened in 2009 after a hammer block safety defect showed up in certain serial numbers. Since 2018, Walther Arms manufactures both the PPK and PPK/S at their Fort Smith, Arkansas facility. Shipments resumed in 2019. Modern versions come in stainless steel finishes, 22 LR for training, and with improved ergonomics while staying true to the original design. Variants multiplied over the decades. The PPKL arrived in the 1960s with a lightweight aluminum alloy frame. Weight reduction came at a cost. The lighter frame increased felt recoil, so Walther only chambered it in 32 ACP and 22 LR. Brown plastic grips and high-polished blue finish gave it a distinct post-war look. The PP Super launched in 1972, an all-steel model chambered in 9x18mm Ultra, a higher velocity cartridge Walther developed specifically for this gun. German police bought about 2,000 units before the model died in 1979. Sales never took off. The PPK/E showed up at the 2000 IWA show in Nuremberg. Hungary's FEG manufactured it under license, blue steel finish. Looked similar to the PPK/S. Parts weren't interchangeable with other models, which limited its appeal. Copies and inspired designs spread worldwide. The Soviet Makarov PM borrows heavily from the PPK's layout. Hungary produced the FEGPA-63. Poland made the P-64. Czechoslovakia built the VZ-50. China manufactured the Type 51. East Germany created the Zella Mehlis P-1001 in the original factory. Iraq developed the Model 74. Turkey made the MKE Kirikali. Romania produced the Pistol Carpați MD 1974. Every major arms-producing nation looked at the PPK and saw something worth copying or adapting. Now comes the part that made the PPK immortal. Ian Fleming created James Bond in 1953 with the novel Casino Royale. Bond carried a .25 caliber Beretta 418 in those early books. Fleming based this choice on his own wartime experience in naval intelligence. The Beretta was small, easily concealed, and common among intelligence officers. Fleming wrote 6 novels with Bond carrying that Beretta. Then, in 1956, a Scottish firearms expert named Geoffrey Boothroyd read those books and had a problem. He sat down and wrote Fleming a letter. Boothroyd didn't hold back. He told Fleming that Bond was carrying a lady's gun in a lady's holster. The .25 Beretta lacked stopping power. A real professional would carry something more substantial. Boothroyd recommended 2 alternatives, the Walther PPK in 7.65mm or a Smith & Wesson Centennial Airweight in .38 Special. For a holster, he suggested the Burns Martin Triple Draw. Fleming read that letter and realized Boothroyd was right. He made the change immediately in his next novel, Dr. No, published in 1958. The scene where Bond gets his new gun became iconic. M Bond's superior, calls him into the office. Major Boothroyd, the armorer, stands there waiting. They lecture Bond about his Beretta jamming at a critical moment. Then, Boothroyd hands over the Walther PPK. The description in the book talks about delivery like a brick through a plate glass window. Fleming honored Boothroyd by naming the armorer character after him. Later books and movies would transform Major Boothroyd into Q, the Gadget Master. The PPK appeared in 8 of Fleming's 15 Bond novels, right up through The Man with the Golden Gun in 1965. Boothroyd even loaned Fleming his personal PPK for reference. When Dr. No hit theaters in 1962, the PPK made its screen debut. Sean Connery actually handled a Walther PP in some early scenes because the props department couldn't source enough PPKs. Most viewers never noticed the difference. The gun became as much a part of Bond's identity as his Aston Martin or his martinis. Connery carried it through Diamonds Are Forever in 1971. George Lazenby used it in On Her Majesty's Secret Service in 1969. Roger Moore had it in several films, though he sometimes switched to other weapons. Timothy Dalton brought it back for both his movies. Pierce Brosnan started with it, but switched to the Walther P99 in Tomorrow Never Dies in 1997. Daniel Craig brought the PPK back to prominence. Quantum of Solace in 2008 showed it as his main sidearm. Skyfall in 2012 featured a PPK/S with biometric modifications, coded to Bond's palm print so only he could fire it. Spectre in 2015 had him using it to shoot down a helicopter. No Time to Die in 2021 put it in the hands of supporting characters like Paloma and Madeleine Swan alongside Bond's other weapons. Through 6 actors, 7 decades, and over 25 films, the Walther PPK remained. No other movie prop has that kind of staying power. The caliber issue caused debates among fans. Fleming's novels specified 7.65 millimeters, which is 32 ACP. Later films, especially the Craig era, often showed the PPK/S in 380 ACP. Gun enthusiasts argue both sides. The 32 offers more controllability and easier follow-up shots. The 380 delivers more stopping power but increases recoil in such a small frame. For a trained professional making precise headshots at close range, the 32 makes perfect sense. Bond isn't engaging in sustained firefights, he's making surgical strikes. Walther's sales exploded after Dr. Numbered American importation kicked into high gear specifically because of Bond demand. The Gun Control Act restrictions in 1968 forced the creation of the PPK/S variant just to keep feeding that market. Replica manufacturers still can't keep PPK/S in stock today. Collectors pay premium prices. The current Walther Arms production models retail between $750 and $900. That positions it as a prestige piece rather than a practical carry gun. The PPK spread far beyond Bond. Bruce Willis carried one in Die Hard. Matt Damon used it in The Bourne Identity. Tom Cruise had one in Valkyrie. It appeared in Inglourious Basterds and Captain America, The First Avenger, where Haley Atwell's Peggy Carter wielded it. Television shows featured it constantly. Sterling Archer. In the animated series, Archer made it his signature weapon, complete with running jokes about Bond. Law and Order, The X-Files, and The Equalizer all showcased PPKs. Video games immortalized it further. GoldenEye 007 on the Nintendo 64 made the PPK legendary for an entire generation of gamers who never watched the films. Real-world use extended well past fictional spies. Post-war intelligence agencies adopted it widely. Britain's MI5 and MI6 issued them. Germany's BND carried them. France's SDECE, Israel's Mossad, and Switzerland's Intelligence and Security Service all put them in service. American agencies used them as backup weapons. The Kentucky State Police issued them for years. Private citizens bought them for concealed carry, drawn by the Bond mystique and genuine quality. Notable incidents involving PPKs shaped history. In 1974, during an attempted kidnapping of Princess Anne, her bodyguard's PPK jammed. The incident prompted Fleming's estate to have Bond retire the weapon in later novels, though the films kept it. In 1979, South Korean intelligence chief Kim Jae-gyu used a .32 ACP-PPK to assassinate President Park Chung-hee. That assassination sparked democratic reforms in South Korea. Elvis Presley owned multiple PPKS models. One silver-engraved version had his TCB lightning bolt logo, standing for Taking Care of Business. He gifted a gold-plated PPK to actor Jack Lord, who played Felix Leiter in Dr. No. The engraved Elvis PPK sold at auction for $62,500. Modern assessments of the PPK split between admiration and critique. The 2019 Walther PPKS in .380A CP gets praise for reliability and accuracy. The all-metal construction provides durability that polymer frames can't match. The chamber indicator and decocker work is advertised. Complaints focus on the heavy double-action trigger pull and limited capacity. Compare 7 rounds to a modern Glock 42 with 6+1 or a SIG P365 with 10+1. The P365 also chambers 9mm, a more effective defensive round than .380 or .32. Better ergonomics in modern sights give newer guns an edge. The 2024 production .32 ACP-PPK offers smoother shooting thanks to reduced recoil, and deep engravings appeal to collectors. The $750 to $900 price tag positions it firmly in the nostalgia category. You're paying for heritage and craftsmanship, not cutting-edge defensive capability. Reviewers note rough edges typical of classic designs. The magazines with finger rest extensions help with grip but make the gun print more under clothing. That trade-off between concealability and shootability has existed since 1931. Compared to modern micro-compacts, the PPK shows its age. A Glock 43X holds 10 rounds of 9mm in a package roughly the same size. The SIG P365 manages the same in an even smaller frame. Springfield Hellcat ups that to 11+1. All feature polymer frames that shave ounces off carry weight. Striker-fired triggers eliminate the double-action to single-action transition. Modern defensive ammunition in 9mm substantially outperforms .32 or .380 in gelatin testing and real-world performance data. Before James Bond, the Walther PPK was just another European police pistol. After Dr. No, it became cultural shorthand for elegance and lethality. Don't forget to hit subscribe and give us a like if you'd like to support our channel. See you in the next videos.